what cartoon character best describes your leadership style?
Zero idea. I literally started Googling it. I know I'm an Enneagram 3, so I was like, what cartoon character? I'm like, I don't know. I don't watch cartoons. I mean, I watched The Bugaloos, Sigmund the Sea Monster when I was a kid. Like,
do you have a TV character? A TV character that can describe your leadership style?
My leadership style. Okay, the movie character.
Wait, before you say anything, no, people may not want to come serve under you if you say anything too terrible. Don't say anybody really mean.
So listen, did you ever see the movie Blind Side?
Yes.
With Sandra Bullock?
Yes.
Okay, so you know that mom was like so serious.
Yeah.
But she felt deep,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That is me.
Yes.
When I watched that movie, I was like, you guys, like that is me. It's not, I'm such a task, like, okay, let's keep moving. I'm gonna keep you on track. But I carry things and I feel things very deeply.
Hello, thank you for joining us once again for a Grace Deserts podcast. We are so excited today to be with Kim Hopper, who is the director of Royal Family Kids Camp here in Torrance. We are just thrilled to have her, so I can't wait for us to get in. Kim, we're so excited you're here. We love you, Kim. I know a lot of people know you, a lot of people don't know you, a lot of people are familiar with camp. A lot of people are not.
Right.
So I want to first of all, how are you doing today?
Good. I usually try not to complain about the rain, but today I hit a limit with the rain.
I know.
I feel like
it's exhausting.
I think I'm ready for it to be done.
I agree.
Other than that, I'm well.
Do you have any leaks in your house?
No, thank you,
so
Lord.
Awesome. We discovered a nice leak.
Yeah.
It's not our problem. It's our landlord's problem, so that's a yay. Anyways, tell us about camp, but first I want to just hear just from you and just bring us back to, because you've been with Royal Family Camp for how long?
This summer will be 16 years.
Oh my gosh.
And
you've been director for how long?
So the first 2 years I went, 2 of those years where I was a camp counselor.
Okay.
And I took in those, so it's really been 18 years, but I took 2 years off in there. So I was a counselor, I was off, I was a counselor.
Okay.
Then I came back in the assistant director role, and I directed with Charlie and Esther Gravis.
Okay.
For 4 years. So then, then I'm trying to think. Then Christine and Jason came on, and I was in there. I took a year off because I was going to step away.
Okay.
And Tammy Fukuda took over my position as assistant director.
Okay.
And then I quickly realized, I think it was in the timing when I was coming to work at Kings Harbor, I quickly realized I wasn't done. Like, my heart was there and I wanted to be back. So I jumped in and started directing with Christine somewhere. And I feel like Christine and I probably directed 8 years together.
Oh, wow. That's a long time. Okay, so a lot of people are not familiar with Royal Family Kids Camp, and that it serves children that have been touched by foster care, either currently in foster care, have been in foster care, siblings of children in foster care. Just kind of bring us back to the beginnings, how you first heard about Royal Family, and even what prompted you to get involved in the first place.
So I was thinking about this, and I think it was 2007. So we had just come to Kings Harbor, had been at another church for 18 years.
Okay.
So the move was not easy, even though we felt very much like God was leading that. It wasn't easy. No.
It's never easy.
Right.
Leave a church and get to a new one.
Getting
easy.
your kids to assimilate into new kids programs. And I was in church and they showed a video. They were recruiting for Royal Family and they showed a video, and you have to know, I'd never thought about foster care before this moment. I really did not. Like, I had zero understanding of foster care. I think my thought around it was, once kids got put into a foster home, their issues were over.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Sure. Or they
You
get
move
adopted.
on, right? Right.
Easy.
I was so uneducated. But I had this very distinct knowing, there's not a different way to say it, knowing that God wanted me to sign up for that camp that year. I had zero idea what I was getting myself into.
Bet you did.
But I knew that I was supposed to go.
Right. How old were your kids at the time? So if we're talking...
Like
17
fourth
years
and
ago.
fifth. Jake and Grace
So they were
must have been
little.
in fourth and fifth grade, and Amanda was probably a freshman in high school, maybe? Somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you were completely uneducated in regards to foster care. Educate us a little bit about foster care, because I think a lot of us fall into that
Right.
category.
Well, the numbers are staggering. In LA County, there's about 33,000 kids in foster care. I think when I say I was uneducated, I just had never thought about the reality of what lands a child in the foster care system is a break in their family. There's abuse, abandonment, neglect.
Right.
There's abuse that you and I as moms cannot
Right.
wrap our minds around.
Can't.
And we take kids to camp ages 7 to 11.
Right.
So these are little
These
are littles, right? That they've seen and experienced like unthinkable things. And going back to me saying, like, I thought that they got put into a good home with loving foster parents, that was it, like all was well. Like I didn't understand what trauma does
Yeah.
to somebody, and that even if they got the best, most loving, wonderful, caring foster parents, that doesn't heal what has happened to them. Right? And so that shows itself in behavioral issues and all the things, right? Think of as an adult how we have a hard time processing trauma and what we do with it, and if there's no one there to help you, you know?
Right.
And then the kids in foster care tend to be on a lot of meds, and it's to just subdue behavior.
Sure. Like stabilize them. Things are out of control. Let's
Make
just...
them easier to handle for the people who are trying to raise them.
Right.
So I just didn't know any of those things. I never thought about any of those things. And through the training that I got that first year, and then just going to camp and meeting those kids, I fell in love. I literally, but I also saw their pain.
Of course.
That first year, I remember one of our campers, her name was Angie, and that was a long time ago. We sat during 30-30 time, which is just this time in the afternoon when the kids have a little downtime. And I remember her just crying and saying she couldn't understand why her mom chose drugs over her.
Wow.
I mean, I think she was 9 or 10. What do you say, right?
Yeah.
You love her, you hug her, you tell her she's valuable.
Yes.
That first camp wrecked me, like in ways I cannot describe.
Right.
I had no idea.
Right.
I just had no idea what God was going to do in me,
Sure.
just in serving, and what he was going to open my eyes to. But then I love the other beautiful aspect of it, that when we like give ourselves away, when we surrender like our comforts and our vanity and all the things that you have to go to camp, like I watched God transform the volunteers' lives. Like he showed me a glimpse of what his love looks like by opening my heart to, in 5 little short days, like so deeply love a child, you know, that I just met, who, it's such a beautiful picture of the gospel. Like he doesn't ask us to clean ourselves up, right, before he loves us. These kids are like, have all these behaviors and things that are happening at camp that they're rough, but gosh, you so love them. You just want to be there for them.
I love that you said you felt like you got to experience God's love for these kids, but like he used you just in your willingness of just to be there and be his vessel. You got to feel God's love for them, like a little,
and
little
God's love
taste
for
of
me, like for us, right? Like how do we wrap our mind around the love of a God who wanted so badly to have a relationship with us that he gave his son right?
Yes.
And Jesus came to suffer humbly,
Yes.
humbly came to suffer.
Right.
Like when you think about that kind of love, like how do you really process and understand that?
Right.
And why me?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. It made me understand it in such a more intimate way that I didn't before.
Wow. Tell us tell us a little bit about camp. Like, what is the heart behind Royal Family Kids Camp? Like, how did it get started? And then, like, what is the purpose of it? Like 5 days of camp, like yeah, that's a fun time
Right.
we're doing for these kids, like we're blessing them. But what's like the real heartbeat behind it? What is the hope that you hope that when each kid who gets to that camp, what is your hope for them in that 5 days?
So Royal Family started, I don't even know how many years ago now, 30 plus.
Okay.
And it was started by a couple in Orange County. And they just felt God's call to serve this specific population of children.
Right.
And then they basically like a franchise model. So there's a national office. It's now called For the Children. But they basically train churches, leaders in churches
Right.
like me,
Right.
to put this camp on,
Yeah.
how to recruit volunteers, train volunteers, raise the money, all the things that have
Right.
to happen. So that's how it got started.
Right.
The heart behind it is the kids who come to our camp, most of them, darn near all of them, would never make it through a traditional youth camp for a week.
Why
They just
so?
wouldn't because of behaviors.
Okay, they would
I
get
mean,
sent home.
They would get sent home. I mean, most of our kids, a lot of our kids, wet the bed. You know, and you have to understand trauma to be able to respond
Sure.
in a way that is compassionate and loving and understanding.
Yeah.
Traditional camps aren't training
No.
their volunteers about trauma.
No.
So our goal is that kids come to camp, that they feel seen, they feel known, they feel cared for, that it's a safe space.
Right.
So we have a lot of, rules and procedures in place to create a safe space.
Right.
Because there's a lot of our kids who have been sexually abused. We don't, because of the way we operate and we call it too deep, but that kids are never ever alone with adults. Adults are never alone with kids, all those things. We want them, and we see that. You see that they recognize, I'm safe here. Like bad things aren't going to happen for me here. But our goal is to, one of Royal Family's mottos is make moments matter. So it's a week of creating really fun memories for them and seeing them be a kid. Rosa Tang she was a supervisor in DCFS, and she came to visit our camp one year, and I was talking to her, and I said, she was telling me how much joy it brought her to see the kids being kids, playing in the pool,
Yes.
laughing, holding hands with, adults, walking
Yes.
along, just being kids. Because a lot of our kids are raising siblings and so many things.
Right.
There's so many facets to understand. But, and I said to her, yeah, it's easy to see them here and think everything's okay.
Right.
And she said, don't ever be fooled by that.
Right.
Everything's not okay. Like
Right.
their worlds are chaos and upside down, and they live in uncertainty.
Right.
I mean, we've had, in my time as in a director role, multiple kids come back from camp on that bus and be met by somebody new picking them up.
Wow.
I mean, imagine
No.
being 7.
Yeah.
So someone else gets to dictate, you sleep somewhere new today. This is your new mom and dad.
Yeah, it's hard for most of us to fathom what that would
Right?
feel like.
And then break
Right.
that down of so you go to bed, this is a new bedroom, new sounds in a house, new smells. How scary.
Terrifying.
So it's trauma upon trauma.
Right,
You know
because
what
that's
I
traumatic
mean?
in and by itself.
Yes.
And it's like you're trying to heal from one trauma, and then that's just traumatic, being moved in a home.
I mean,
in
if
one
you
day.
took me, 53 years old,
Right.
to a new house and said, this is your new family, but they're all strangers.
Unbelievable.
Hard, right?
I love how you said making memories for the kids. It's like, as parents, we go on vacation and we're just like making memories. We're making memories as a family, and to realize that so many of these children don't have happy, good, wonderful childhood memories, but thinking how many of them they're making at camp. What is one day? Give us an example of one day at camp and what it would look like for the kids.
So they get
Pick
up.
any day.
Well, they look a little, we have a lot
Every
of consistency,
day.
so it's
Okay.
very similar,
Okay,
but we
okay.
have different activities.
Okay.
They get up, they go to breakfast, then they go to breakfast club. At breakfast club, they do worship songs, and then we show them a video that our photographers put together every day.
Aw.
So they see the day before, like set to
themselves.
music of themselves
Oh, I love that.
at camp.
That's so cute.
It's super sweet. And then they all break up and go to different areas like archery and crawdad fishing and
Oh, how fun.
woodworking, and we have like 6 or 7 different spots for breakfast club they go. And then while they're there, counselors are doing their chapel time.
Okay.
Then they get picked up and we have free time. So there's fishing, and archery still open, and there's an animal encounter at the camp we went to. So there's llamas and goats and
how cute.
bunnies and all sorts of things the kids love to feed, and a big, huge turtle. And so we have that time. Then I'm trying to think, okay, we go here, and then we go up for drama. So there's a drama that plays out throughout the week.
Okay.
And so we have a theme each year. This curriculum this year is brand new, but one year it's Olympics, and I think last year was Joseph, the story of Joseph. So Bible teacher Melanie, it's been Melanie for a number of years, she is telling them this Bible story throughout the week.
I love it.
But it plays along with the drama. Everything kind of coincides together.
Okay.
We do lunch, we do 30-30 time. The kids swim. Their absolute favorite time of the day is the pool. We usually do fun activities. Like we do a big water slide and a huge slip and slide. And so we're tiring them out. I mean, it is nonstop from the time they get up in the morning till 8 o'clock when they're starting to get ready for bed. It's legit nonstop. Lunch is thrown in there. We have dinner. One night we do a campfire. One night we do a talent show that is crazy and so much fun. One year before we went to camp, Tim, the Sunday we did commissioning, I feel like it was the first time we sang this song in church, The Goodness of God. And I remember that year, so we left for camp and talking to our volunteers on Monday morning about, there's that line, His goodness is running after me.
Yes.
And we do a lot of chasing at camp. I said,
how many steps do you get in one day?
Well, I have a golf cart.
Oh, okay. Well,
those who don't have golf carts, they do like 10,000 plus a day.
Right,
they walk, and there's hills, and it's hot, and it's dirty, and it's a mission trip.
It's a lot.
I remember telling the volunteers, like, our campers, they don't understand the goodness of God because what life has shown them has not shown them the goodness of God. Yeah. So our job is to run after them with the goodness of God. Like we are the hands and feet of Jesus. We're tangible to them. Like this is where it begins. We want them by the time they leave to know God loves you. He knows your name. He sees you. He has not abandoned you. Matter of fact, he called all these people to this time and this place for you. And so that's the heart behind the week, all week. And that gets challenged a million ways to Sunday with behaviors and the things that go on. But I would tell you, all of our volunteers, like they take that to heart. And that is their motivation. Just run after them with the goodness of God.
I love it. I love it. I think I remember Tom telling me his first year he was helping. He wasn't a counselor, but one of the counselors had a runner, like a runner. And so he was just running, helping, because you can only run so much in a day. So he was helping the counselor running after their kid. But that analogy and remembering that God's mercy, in his goodness, runs after us.
Yeah.
Like,
regardless of our behavior, he's not
doesn't
right.
stop, right?
I think that is what I love most about the
Yes.
gospel. You know, it's such
Yes.
the fact that it's a gift, right? I cannot earn it. I don't deserve it. I love that.
But it seems like the counselors and those who are going to serve at camp, it's like they have this opportunity to just get this little taste, like you said, of God's love for us and how he doesn't stop pursuing us in spite of our rebellion and our garbage and our mess. He just keeps after us.
How often we behave badly.
And how often we behave badly. And now we get to show a glimpse of that to these children who often get exactly what they deserve when they're misbehaved. They get punished. But this opportunity to love them and show them mercy when they don't get that every day, even when they're not behaving and they know it, and yet somebody is just showing them grace.
And there's something about camp that breaks down walls, because I'm sure, I know a lot of the caregivers because I talk to them, right? They're good people. They love the kids. Okay, so this would be a good example. One of our campers, Tyler, I had called his caregiver his last year of camp just to talk to her about camp, make sure she had everything and she was ready. And she said to me, now he had a mentor as well, but she said to me, Kim, when we sent Tyler to camp, I don't know how new he was to their family, I can't remember, but she said he wanted nothing to do with us. He locked himself in his room. He wanted to run away, like he would not connect with us. And she said, I don't know what you did at that camp, but you brought me back a different kid.
Oh, wow.
That's all God. You know, it's a bunch of surrendered hearts.
Right.
And God moving, because we just love him, you know, but God does something. It's wild in just 5 days.
And so you just said Tyler also had a mentor. What do you mean by that when you say he had a mentor?
So we have a mentoring program that is, I think this is our 10th year. It's going right now. So after camp, we do camp in July, and then the mentoring program goes October to June. And so as many kids from camp that we can match with mentors, and it's mentors from people who have been to camp.
Got it. So people they know.
It's people they know, right. It's relational already.
Yes.
Like the trust has been established before the mentoring relationship begins. And then once a month, all the mentors and the kids and some staff come to what we call club, and it meets here at church. And it's like a mini camp. They do crafts, they have the Bible story, they have a puppet, like a puppet show, and they sing, and they go to the beach. Donna Whitehead has been directing it all 10 years. She's had help because we have club directors and stuff, but it's been amazing.
That is amazing.
She's done an incredible job with it.
I love it.
Yeah.
What is like first steps for people who are like, wow, I think I want to try that. Like, I think I would be willing to give 5 days, 6 days of my summer to go serve at this camp. What is the first step that they need to do? What should they do?
So when we, I think you should pray. I very much think you should pray about it. As much as we want to take as many volunteers as we can, so we can take as many kids as we can.
So what's the ratio of volunteers to kids?
So typically we take anywhere between 50 and 60 kids and somewhere around 85 volunteers.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's a lot of volunteers.
It is. And it's because of the way the day is structured, because counselors get breaks. And so those staff, there's counselors and then there's staff.
Okay.
Staff steps in and does what we call night relief. So there's 2 hours at night. So it takes a lot of people. So you have counselors, but then you have staff running all the other parts of camp for the counselors to take their kids to.
Yep.
So it takes a lot of people. And you've always got to be prepared for the unknown. You don't know. Last year, we had a camper we had to completely pull out of his cabin and put 2 men with, alone in a cabin, because he could not be with other kids.
Wow.
It was, so you always have to have enough people to be shuffling and moving things around all the time. So I would say pray. I would say talk to someone who's been to camp. you'd be hard pressed to be in a service at Kings Harbor Church and not be able to find someone
Oh, absolutely.
that's been to Royal
Of
Family
course.
that is more than happy to talk about it.
Yes.
And most of those people come back multiple times, and a lot have come back for years. Then, as long as you've got that week off that you can do it, so the 7th through the 12th this year, there is training involved. It's a commitment. There's fundraising, there's training. You fill out the application as a new volunteer.
Okay.
There's an interview process, and we
Okay.
do that because, well, it's our job to keep the kids safe.
Of course.
So there's background checks, and we interview and we reference check. It's also to make sure camp is a good fit for that person, and
sure.
and the new volunteer knows what to expect and what they're getting into, because their experience affects the kids' experience.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So we do all those things to ensure a safe and fun camp for the kids, but also, I mean, I want it to be transformational for those who come.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. What's one of your biggest goals for this year or for camp this year? Do you have something, is there a number you want to hit? Is there just something you're believing for?
So, I mean, I feel like 60 is our max of kids
Okay.
that we could take and do a really good camp for, which then means closer into the 90s of volunteers.
Sure.
So I would love for that to. Matter of fact, I just counted yesterday. We have 40 kids from last summer eligible to sign up to come to camp this year.
Wow.
So that's without reaching out, because we
Sure.
also have, as you know, we do Christmas Wish.
Yeah.
So we have a whole list from there to reach out,
Sure.
and we haven't put that out to them yet. And we have 22 of those kids signed up already.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, that would be lovely.
To take 60 kids.
Yeah, we're kind of revamping training and doing something. So we have a lot of goals this year.
Yeah.
We're trying to mix some things up and do things a little differently, more efficiently, more effectively. So
Do you ever have to turn away kids because you don't have enough volunteers?
yes, and that's horrible.
I know.
And it is the hardest part, because Kings Harbor Church, you tend to sign up late.
This is true.
Yes, it's really hard because people wait to the last minute to commit. So I have all these campers that I need to let their
Yeah.
caregivers know by June 1st,
Right.
yes or no, they can come.
So they can prepare and plan.
Right. So what it looks like is me texting and calling and asking, hey, are you still coming? Can you please sign up? Because I really don't count on people till I have their application.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
yes. So if we turn kids away, we try and push them towards other camps in the area, Orange County. There's a couple other
Okay,
LA
okay.
camps. So we try and give them other options. But so our returners get first dibs, right?
Yeah, of
Like they
course.
get priority.
Yep.
And then we fill in from there.
Okay.
But no, I hate turning campers away.
Yeah.
It's like the last thing you want to do.
No, absolutely. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Do you see yourself still in some capacity working with Royal Family Kids Camp?
I hope so. I'll be 63. That's like, I don't
Oh,
know.
that's so young, Kim. Come on.
I said this at our welcome home dinner last year. Like, there's something about this ministry that I really, like, God created me to do it. Like, in the director role. Like, from the admin part, I
Yeah.
love leading people. Like,
Yes. You're easy to follow.
I feel like everything God made me to do is wrapped up in this ministry in some way or another, like in the gifts wise. So the deep joy, don't get me wrong, I get overwhelmed.
Of course.
I don't lean on God. I lean on my own abilities. Like, all the things are there. But every year when it wraps up, it's like, there's nothing. No vacation, there's nothing like it. There really isn't. I mean, and that justice-centered part of me, you know, I want to fight for the kids.
And you do. I love that. You do this as a volunteer.
Yes.
You do not get paid for this.
No, people
You
ask me
have
that
a job,
all the time.
right? You have a job, like a weekly 9-to-5 job that you work with your husband in, and that takes a lot. This is a volunteer job that takes a lot of your time. And so, yes, people go, ooh, a whole week of my summer, ooh, like how many hours of training? Like
Right.
It is a lot. It is a
It's
big
a
commitment,
commitment.
like you said. But like I want to point out that this is a big job and it's a volunteer, and you direct this as a volunteer, and all of the staff for Royal Family who come are all volunteers.
Everyone's volunteer.
Every single one, which is absolutely amazing. How can we be praying for you personally, and then how can we be praying? I think you shared a little bit of how we could be praying for camp this year, that we have 60 kids and that we have enough volunteers to cover all of it.
Always be praying for the
Always be praying for the
and that people would
volunteers.
sign up.
Yes,
I know it's
the people would sign up early.
It's not selfish on my part. It really is a need. It's a big need.
Like people need to start praying now. Can I do this?
Yes. So when applications come out,
Yes.
March 11th, I think is what it is.
Yes.
Like they know
Yes.
I'm going, I'm not going, or I want to find out more so I know if that's something I can do.
Exactly. But how can we be praying for you personally?
I think the hardest part for me right now is time, because it's like a part-time job at this point.
Of course.
Already it starts, and it will be that till we go and come home. And it still is a little bit after, even, because there's a lot of wrap up to do.
Of course.
Yeah, just that I'm a good time manager for sure, because I tend to, John likes to point out, I tend to put this above everything else. So, but I do have a regular job that I need to do. So yeah, I just want to do that well, but I think my heart is that I want to lean on God and not my own abilities.
Yeah.
And my person, you know me well enough to know my personality, that I can definitely go for a while, and when I start to like burn out or freak out, I realize, you've been doing that. Like it's all been about you, Kim, building your own little kingdom here, right? You have not.
I don't know about
you've
that.
not surrendered.
You're harder on yourself than probably.
You've not surrendered.
The Lord is not that hard on you.
You've not invited God in. You know.
No.
And this is the beauty of this, is it makes me very dependent on God, because it's so much bigger than me. Like I could not fill all the roles.
No.
God changes hearts. He's the one that changes hearts, right? So he's the one leading people to do it.
Of
so,
course.
I mean, you pray that I depend on him, and that I remember, like, that's where it begins and ends. Like,
Amen.
right? Just full
Yes.
dependency, and leading in humility. That I want to be a humble leader.
Yes, amen. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you're like, I want to leave this with the people watching, the people listening, just for them to think about and pray about, besides pray about if the Lord would have them in this space? But is there anything you want to leave with them?
I think the biggest barrier for people signing up, I think we would think it's time, but I think it's fear. And I think what I would want to say is that I was petrified my first year, petrified. But there's something amazing about trusting God when you're afraid.
Yes.
Because it like puts you in this space to see him work.
Yeah.
When you know that you know that you know you don't have it in you on your own, you have no option but to acknowledge and see God equip you and carry you through it.
Yes.
And I mean, you would agree, there's nothing like that,
Nothing
right? Don't let fear keep you away. Don't let fear
Amen.
keep you away. Like, trust God with it. If you feel like if someone feels like, maybe I should do that, do it. Just do it, you know? And listen, you're gonna come to training and you're gonna be afraid, because we're gonna train you on the worst case scenarios of everything, but you're gonna be filled with a team of people that have done it. And we literally, this Royal Family is a family. I mean, I can't describe. You've experienced something together that nobody else has.
Yeah.
And you've seen God take a child, get off the bus, who literally has blank eyes. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Like,
Yeah.
there's no life in that child's eyes. And watch them by Wednesday laughing and running and playing. And sometimes it takes 5 years. We had a camper who would not ever let us touch him. I mean, I don't want to think about the things that happened to him. I mean, you could not put your hand on his shoulder. And I remember one day, I never passed popsicles out after the pool, but that day I was. And he came running out, and I handed him his popsicle, and he threw his arms around me and hugged me and ran off. And I was like, oh, the healing that happened in that little boy's life. You're like, I will be here forever. I will never not do this. Like, what is my life if I can't give these kids this experience, right? Like, and a chance to know safety and love, and not that they're not in their homes, but this is like such an immersion, unique experience.
Yes.
And I think it just breaks down barriers in their hearts. Like, they believe, like, oh, someone could love me.
But there's also some trust that was built. It wasn't his first year. It was after multiple years.
For him, it was
but he
absolutely.
Seen you, and some of the same people every year show up for him.
Yeah.
And show up to make this camp happen. And so there had to be this. Just that in and by itself had to break down some of his walls and feeling like he could trust you.
Yeah.
And that's just so precious and so beautiful. I love that word, don't let fear keep you from going.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll preach right there. Pastor Mike, just preach on that. That'll preach, that's it. Like, don't let fear stop you from doing something that the Lord wants you to do just because you're scared. Because He is going to literally give you what you need. He
and
literally
if you
will.
want to see the power of God at work,
oh my gosh,
step out in faith.
Yes,
you know,
do something a little scary.
You got to jump.
Step out of the boat. Come on now. Okay, it's true. So Kim, I just want to thank you, and thank you on behalf of Kings Harbor Church for leading this charge. I mean, it is a huge undertaking to direct this camp every year, but it's a joy of Kings Harbor Church to get to be a part of it, and for our people to get to be a part of it and to get to serve these children in this way. And camp wouldn't happen without people like you making it happen. And all the team that serves under you and all the people that join in with you, like, it literally wouldn't happen. And so just thank you, and thank you for bringing us into it and letting us be a part of it. And we love you, and we support you, and we can't wait just to see what God's going to do this year at camp.
I couldn't do it without your guys' support either, so I want to say that. And there are a lot of volunteers that are in teams that I have that I could not do it without them.
I know.
They're making it happen.
It's amazing.
For
it's
sure.
Really
God
amazing. Leading up to camp the couple of weeks before, and just seeing all the little corners around the church of people cutting things and packing boxes and making copies, and it's just like all these people doing all these little tasks that have to happen in order for camp to happen. And it's amazing.
It is not a one-man show. It is physically impossible to do it on your own. Even if it's all I did full-time.
Totally.
You could not do it all on your own, nor would you want to, but it's a
would you
beautiful
want to.
picture of the body of Christ. I love it.
Amen to that.
I love it.
Well, thank you
Thank you.
again for joining us. We hope to see you next week. God bless you.